Hello, Happy New Year. I hope you are doing good. So, I have made this short video to share with you my testimony, the testimony of my conversion. I come from Yaoundé, the capital of Cameroon, where I grew up in a non Christian family. I am the second of 5 children, though my parents were not Christian, but they fear God, so they taught me from my youth to fear God. I remember that up to 7 to 8 years, I live a happy life. So everything was well. I have good memories of this part of my life. So I really enjoy this time because everything was fine. I had all my parents, my friends, and it was quite good. And afterwards, there was a problem that we had in our family, and my dad had to leave to another town, and my brothers and sister they moved also to my aunt's place. I was left alone with my mother, and life was not easy because my mom did not work and we had no income, and it was very, very difficult. So we had no electricity because there were no money to pay the bills, and it was quite difficult in that time. And my mother had to find a job, and she started to sell donuts in the market, and even to eat was very, very difficult. It was a challenge, and we remember that we will sometime wondering what we will eat tomorrow. And I remember that one day we received a visit of one of our relatives. We did not know what to eat that day, and we received a visit of that relative who brought some yellow yams, and I had to eat yellow yam, even though I don't like yellow yam. But that's all what we have to eat. So I just eat it, and I can tell you that when I thank God in those days for the meal, I really mean it, because it was a challenge for us to eat. So with the donuts that my mother started to sell, things began to change a little bit, and it was better. We had electricity once again, and she was able to pay my school, and I helped her because I had to wake up early in the morning to help her in carrying the stuff to the market before I can go to school. And I really learned a lot, because I really learned to trust God and to live without knowing what I will eat tomorrow, and it was a good experience. And at the same time, God also used another means to to touch me, because I remember that I used to enjoy the movies that the national television used to present during Christmas time, like Jesus of Nazareth, like the movies about Abraham, the movies about the Moses, and those Christian movies. And I used to enjoy it, and to really feel that God was speaking to me. And I remember also that there was the missionaries that used to also project Jesus of Nazareth, and I attend one of those meetings, and they gave me the New Testament with the Psalms. So it was in a book. So I started to read the New Testament, and the Spirit really worked in my heart. And at the age of 15 years old, in my room, I decided that I will no longer resist the Spirit of God. So I gave my life to Christ. So I was engaged in a new journey, and I really felt like God was in our family. God was working uh, for us, and I really enjoy, helping my mother. And before going to school, going every morning to pray in a quiet Catholic church in the morning, and it was a blessing that I have found the Savior. I felt like I need to be baptized because I actually come to the baptism in the New Testament that I was reading. So I felt like I had to baptize, but I did not know where I could get the baptism. I was attending the Catholic Church at that time, but I couldn't ask the baptism because what I read in the New Testament did not quite fit with what I saw in the church. So I was not comfortable with the statue that I saw and certain things. How I felt like that is not the best place for me to got the baptism. And the second reason was that even if I wanted, I couldn't because I had no one to support me, because it requires some fees before you be baptized, because they were asking some money that I did not have, and you even need to have a godfather, something like that, which I did not have because I was the only one in my family who was interested in Christianity. So so in those days I was reading, and I because I wanted to know more. So with my little economy, I bought a Bible. It was the Jerusalem translation, which is a Catholic version, which have more books compared to the Bibles that you find in the in the other denomination, like the Protestants and so on. So I enjoy reading my Bible and praying and asking God to lead me. So I just pray that God will take the control of my life and find a way for me to be baptized. So when I completed my secondary school, I had to go to the university, but I did not want to go to stay in the town. So we agreed with my parents that I will move to Chang in the West Cameroon, which is at 340 kilometers around about from Yaoundé to that place. So I moved there, I settled there, and my neighbor was a Seventh-day Adventist. So we started to study together because he found out that I was quite interested in talking about God. So he invited me, and then we studied together. He gave me the Sabbath school brochure that he had about the sanctuary. So I read it, and it was quite interesting. In a Wednesday meeting, when he was scheduled to preach in a prayer meeting, so he invited me. I went, and the coming Sabbath he invited me again, and I went to the service. That I found the service very, very long and sometimes even boring, but I keep going. The following Sabbath I went, and even when he was not even there, so I was keep going. And yes, and I remember that one Sabbath I was invited by a family. So we went there, we ate together and then I went to the library. I opened, so I started to look some books, and then I found out that they have some books of the Spirit of Prophecy. It is true that I heard sometime about the spirit of prophecy, but I did not have any idea of what it could be. I just heard sometimes people quoting, but I did not have any personal position about it. So I took one of those books. It was Prophet and Kings, and I started reading. So I borrowed it for 2 weeks. I read, and it was quite interesting. So, and after completing the book, I took another one. Then I was convinced of the inspiration of those books. So I learned so many things in that period of time. So I discovered the Sabbath, I discovered the clean and unclean meat, I discovered the health reform, the dress reform. So it was so many truths, that at certain point it was like a burden that was on my shoulder. But I knew that I had to take a decision. I have to make a decision because I have received the light. I have been praying for it for 2, 3, 4 years, and now the truth that I was looking for, I have found it. But it was quite difficult for to make that decision and to decide to follow all the truth. And but by God's grace, little by little, I was able to accept and to move forward as the Spirit led me. And 6 months later, I was approached by the leaders of the church, and they asked me if I was willing to be baptized. So I said yes, and then 2 weeks after, there was a baptism ceremony that was scheduled. So I went there, and then I got baptized. And they assigned me 2 elders that really helped me, because I regularly visit them, and they share with me their testimony. I literally study at their feet. I learned a lot, so they gave me so many counsel that really helped me in my life. And the church in which I was baptized was very dynamic. So we have so many programs in the church. We had so many evangelism. We had evangelistic program where we had to travel to villages, and to sleep under the tent. It was quite a good experience. I have good memories of that period of my life. And I remember also the camp meeting that we had. And it's not like the camp meeting that you have and that we have in the big cities. No. In that small villages, the churches used to move to meet in one place. And I remember that we used to sing while traveling, and going there, meeting with the other young people, and it was like, it was just wonderful to live and to grow in that mood. And it was really a blessing for me to grow in that church, and to be in that church, and to be very active in the church, because there are certain things that you only learn in the mission field. So I learned a lot, and it was really a blessing in my Christian life. So obviously there are so many to share with you that I had to stop somewhere. So I want to thank you for listening to this video, and I wish you once again all the best for the new year.